He sat alone in the corner of the cafe, the soft hum of a rainy afternoon filling the silence around him. His coat looked worn, his shoes slightly scuffed, and his coffee cup almost empty. To anyone passing by, he seemed like another struggling man lost in life's noise, invisible, ordinary, and easily overlooked. But behind those quiet eyes was a story no one could guess, a story of loss, humility, and hidden power. Today, however, he wasn't a CEO, or a man who once owned half the skyline of the city. Today, he was just Ethan, a man on a blind date arranged by a friend who insisted he try being normal for once. And that's how everything began. Backhand index pointing. Right before we go further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of seeing someone's heart before their status, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to I Am Kindness Corner. Let's keep spreading stories that make us feel something real. The door of the cafe opened with a gentle chime. A young woman stepped in, brushing a few raindrops off her coat. Her name was Lila, and her face carried the softness of someone who had been through quiet battles but still chose to smile at life. She had come for the same reason, a blind date her best friend had forced her into after months of convincing. Her last relationship had left her scarred, not just by heartbreak, but by the lesson that some people love for comfort, not connection. When Lila spotted the man sitting in the corner, simple gray coat, hair slightly tousled, no flashy watch or polished shoes, her heart sank a little. He didn't look like someone who could sweep her off her feet or change her lonely world. Still, something about his calm expression made her walk over. The first few moments were quiet, awkward even. Ethan smiled shyly, offering her the plate of cookies he had ordered because the croissants were too expensive. She laughed, thinking it was a joke, but his tone carried a strange sincerity. He asked her simple questions. About her favorite places, her childhood dreams, what happiness meant to her. There was no arrogance in his words, no attempt to impress. Just a man truly listening. For Lila, it was new. Different. As the rain outside deepened, their conversation found its rhythm. Ethan spoke about working odd jobs, about how people often judged him before they knew him. Lila, moved by his humility, felt something stir in her chest, empathy, warmth, maybe even admiration. For once, she wasn't talking to a man trying to prove something. She was talking to someone who felt real. But deep inside, Ethan was fighting his own storm. He hadn't told anyone his real identity for months. After losing his fiancée years ago in an accident that fame and fortune couldn't prevent, he had walked away from his empire to find meaning again. To understand whether love could exist without status. Whether he could still be seen, not as a CEO, but as a man. Days turned into weeks. The blind date turned into long evening walks, coffee meetups, and shared laughter under city lights. Lila found herself opening up about her fears and broken past. Ethan listened, offered comfort, and never once spoke about himself. She grew to admire his kindness, the way he never let pride enter the room. He wasn't rich, not in the way she once imagined love should be, but he made her feel safe, seen, and deeply valued. Still, reality had its cruel way of whispering doubt. One evening, Lila's friend showed her a social media post, a photo of Ethan, dressed in the same gray coat, standing beside a luxury car outside a five-star hotel. "He's probably lying to you," her friend said. "Either he's pretending to be poor for attention or hiding something sketchy." Lila laughed it off, but that seed of suspicion began to grow quietly in her heart. The next day, she confronted him gently. He smiled, almost sadly, and said, "Lila, there are things I haven't told you yet. But when the time's right, you'll know everything." His words should have reassured her, but instead, they sounded like another secret waiting to break her trust. A week later, Ethan disappeared. No calls, no messages. His favorite cafe seat stayed empty. Lila visited it every day, leaving small notes under the cup he once used. "I miss our talks, please tell me you're okay, you don't owe me money, just honesty." Each day, the rain returned, and so did her tears. Then, one morning, the cafe door opened again. Only this time, it wasn't the man in the gray coat, it was a driver in a black suit, holding an envelope addressed to her. Inside was a letter written in Ethan's familiar handwriting. Dear Lila. If you're reading this, I finally found the courage to be honest. I'm not who you think I am, or rather, I am exactly who you thought I wasn't. I'm Ethan Reeves, CEO of Reeves Corporation. I built a life so big that I forgot what love without wealth looked like. Until you. You saw me as no one, and for the first time in years, I felt like someone. I didn't mean to hide forever, but I needed to know if your heart saw me before my name did. You gave me that gift. Now I must earn it. I've gone away for a while to fix the parts of my life that still belong to the world that broke me. But if kindness and truth mean what I think they do to you, maybe someday, we'll meet again. Ethan. Lila's hands trembled as she finished reading. It wasn't anger that filled her eyes, it was heartbreak mixed with awe. He hadn't lied to manipulate her. He had simply wanted to be loved for who he was underneath it all. She folded the letter, held it to her chest, and whispered, I would have loved you either way. Months passed. Life went on, quietly. Lila focused on her work, helping children at a local shelter, living with the same kindness Ethan once admired in her. But there were days she still looked toward that cafe corner, wondering if he'd walk in again, coffee in hand, smile gentle as ever. Then one evening, as the sun dipped below the skyline, a familiar figure entered the cafe. This time, there was no worn coat, he wore a simple black shirt, no watch, no hint of luxury. Just Ethan, looking at her the way he once did, eyes filled with quiet relief. He didn't speak immediately. He walked to her table, placed a small paper bag in front of her, cookies, the same kind from their first date, and said softly, I kept my promise. I came back when I learned to be both, the man with nothing, and the man with everything. Tears blurred her vision. Lila smiled through them, whispering, you never had to be both. You just had to be you. The cafe fell silent, the world outside fading into a blur of soft light and rain-touched windows. It wasn't a perfect ending, life rarely is, but it was real. The kind of ending that felt like a beginning rewritten by fate itself. They talked for hours again, not as a millionaire and a poor man, not as a woman once betrayed and a man once lost, but as two hearts who had finally found the courage to be seen for their truth. And when the cafe lights dimmed, Ethan reached across the table, took her hand gently, and said, maybe love isn't about what we have. It's about what we give when we think we have nothing left. That night, as Lila walked home under the faint drizzle, she realized something. Sometimes, destiny hides miracles behind ordinary faces. And sometimes, the richest people are the ones who remind us what humanity feels like. Backhand index pointing right. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to I Am Kindness Corner. Every story we share keeps the spirit of compassion alive, one heart at a time. Speech balloon special request, before you go, comment below, would you still choose love if you didn't know who they really were? Because sometimes, the answer to that question defines not just love, but who we truly are.